Evening. Good evening. Good evening. This is the Real Sports Fan Podcast, Season 4, Episode 6. It's the last day of March, March 31st. It is approximately 6:04 p.m. and got a very, very, very special guest. It's the last of March, so we're celebrating women still, the importance of women, and what better time to have my wife on, who I've been trying to get on for so long. We were, the podcast. We've been sending her mail, sending her itinerary, trying to get her on here. She kept ignoring us. Even last season, tried to get her on an individual level, but she's finally here to join us. So we appreciate you, Miss Damika Baker. We're gonna put the whistle on the end of the day, or we just going back to 2000 where it was just Baker. But now I appreciate you being on the podcast. I appreciate everybody out there, and thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Tay, what's up, boy? What's up? What's up? Hey, you right here some jewels. You right here how she gave it to him.
I was good too. Remember that?
But yeah, so we back for another episode. I'm excited. I'm excited. Just to give you a little backstory, a little bit. I always tell her that, obviously being from Easton, I knew about, the great Kelly Gibson. How could you not be, being from Easton? I grew up with people like Wandy and Tara Corsi and Buffy and got to see them. But back in the late 90s, early 2000s, I know, that's bad, that's 20 plus years, we didn't have social media. So, to hear about how good a player was, you heard from different people talking and stuff like that, and obviously knew what your guys were good. But she was one of the first female athletes I heard about on hardwood about how good she was. So see, I knew who you was. You knew who I was. That's fine. That's neither here nor there. So again, what we do here on the podcast, as you know, is we celebrate you. We give you your flowers now while you can still smell them. So we want to give you your flowers now and celebrate you, not just what you did on the hardwood. We're going to get into the statistics and stats and all that good stuff, the accomplishments, but also what you've done by going to University of Maryland, all you've done in the community, and the impact you continue to make.
Thank you. And I'm proud of you. Like, I know how much sports means to you. To watch your podcast grow, it's been a pleasure to be along for the ride. So thank you.
Appreciate you. Appreciate all the support. Thank everybody out there for sharing, watching. We're gonna get right into it. Being graduate of Queen Anne's County in 2000. We want to go back first, on how things first started, how you fell in love with the game. So growing up in the small town of Star, Maryland, right, in Star, Maryland, I'm sure it wasn't a whole lot to do out there, but in all seriousness, what started the love of basketball? When did that start as a child?
Let's see. So I didn't love it at first. It was my middle school tech ed teacher, Mr. Wright, who said, "Baker, you should play basketball," because I was tall. I was probably this height in like 7th, 8th grade. So he's like, "You should play basketball." And so I started playing like little league basketball. And I was all right, so I kept playing. And then, so me and Shania, my cousin Shania, grew up in Star too. We played together 4 years, and we also used to go around the road. We used to call it around the road, where Tay lives. Tay lived at.
Tay James, see on here.
We used to go around there every day and beat him on his own court with his own ball. So that was really all you really had to do out Star. Like, we had outside. We didn't have cable.
Ralph, what up?
Yeah, so we played basketball. So between that, Mr. Wright, Shania, and Tay, and Randy used to play Randy. Randy Uncle Jeff, Uncle Jeff. So none of the women in my family played basketball, but like a lot of the men played. Like my grandfather's brothers played. Uncle Jeff obviously played. My cousin, Michelle's brother played. Mm-hmm. So that's all. Like, really, that's all we had. And I was a tomboy. I was a big tomboy growing up. And so middle school, I was like wearing like, I had a Shaquille O'Neal jersey, and I dressed like a dude, I think. And so Basketball was almost like a natural space for me to exist. So it came from someone else's suggestion, and then I started playing, and I was okay. I was pretty good, and then I liked it, and so there we go.
What was the biggest difference from, it's one thing to go out in the backyard and shoot, and I want you to talk about, how you perfected your shot. That you were a great shooter, great 3-point shooter, as well. But what was the difference, starting off just shooting outside, in the backyard or wherever you was, compared to then playing organized team ball from a woman's perspective? Because it could be different for men. So what was the biggest difference you would say, or thing you had to get used to?
Well, so we also had a court out by our house that wasn't like Tay had the nice court, right? Like so it wasn't like ours wasn't adjustable. It probably was 10 feet high. It wasn't regulation. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it was getting used to not playing on dirt, like getting used to playing with like a girl's ball. Like the girl's ball is what I had to get used to playing with because I played with a boys ball.
Yeah, wow.
And so getting used to playing with a larger ball on courts that were good with shoes that were real, like actual basketball shoes. So, I grew up in the sticks, and I suspect that playing with your friends in Star is a little different than playing with your friends in like Easton, where you have like a county court or whatever.
Court,
like
that,
we don't have street lights, let alone like a regulated court. So so I guess it was just like getting used to playing on something that was legit versus like I don't know bootleg, you know what I'm saying? Like grassroots basketball. So I think that probably was the biggest adjustment, and I guess like there was a difference between men and women's rules and the amount of time that it takes you to get up court, and it was a lot of differences. And where I just started like, oh, it's basketball, it's one ball, it's one court, one amount of time, same amount of time, but there were a different set of rules. And
like the shot clock.
Yeah, the shot clock. I mean, in retrospect, I understand why, but
now they got a shot clock. I wish we had a shot clock.
Yeah,
that'd been dope to play with.
So I get it. I understand why, but like getting used to the fact that you do have to play different and play by a different set of rules. I don't know if it was in an effort to make things a little bit more equitable, but
I'm sure going back to the ball, that has to be adjustment. Because you used to playing with a guy's ball, which is heavier. You go to a girl's ball, which is lighter. So even all the shots you were shooting, you got to adjust. Which you might think, oh, well, it's lighter, it should be easier, but that's not always the case.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
because you'll shoot air balls, right? Like, which I've shot my fair share.
Yeah,
so it's like you getting used to adjusting to the like amount of force that it takes to shoot the ball and the amount of spin that you put on ball. Like it's a little different, and it's something that I don't know that men have to adjust themselves to. Like what man is out there playing with a girl's ball, and then you have to go adjust when you play regular, like formal ball. So
talk about your form. One thing I noticed, when I first met you was how good of a form you got. You went out Iowa and shot around once, but where did that form come from? Like who taught you how to shoot? Talk about. I know you might have a story you want to share. Go ahead and touch on that for me.
So my favorite two people like that I played with whose shots I copied, like I straight like emulated their shots with. One of my favorite teammates was Michelle Darling, and she had like a really nice shot, and she would like kind of like push the ball, and so I like stole a little bit of her, and then I played with someone else, Mr. Wright, who was my middle school teacher, who told me to play ball. His daughter had like the most beautifully fundamental shot. And it was just so soft and so delicate. And so I like borrowed from her and Michelle, and like after a while something felt good to me. And so I had whatever I was doing. So it was just stealing from other people until it until it felt right. Because I used to push the ball. Right. And then after I like would see how like Natalie shot, and she really would kind of like feel it out where the seams were. It was a rotation, it was like a rhythm. And so I got it, and we'll probably talk about it later, but it was one AU team where I had a coach who just let me do my thing, right? It was green light every day.
That's all you need to hear.
And so like that is that moment, that like summer is when I feel like I really got right with it.
Appreciate it. I'm reading some of the comments already. I'm sitting here laughing. That's me. It's as crazy as ever. Round the road. That round the road has to be was funny. Round the road. I was gonna say round the world. I said round the road.
Down the road, down the road, the other end.
And then RJ, shout out Rob, he said Star sound like a third world country back then. And Hawk, 20 years ago, Duke beat Maryland the Final Four. You know how that go. You know how that go, Hawk, right? But anyway, but yeah, I'm glad you shared about where you got your shot from and how you perfected it. Talk about was there a team you played on before high school that you remember, or did your teams kind of basically start? I know you said a little bit of rec ball, but did your play kind of basically start in ninth grade going into high school?
I think I first played like formal basketball in 8th grade. Gosh, I can't remember what team I was on. Middle school
team. Is that what Coach Hyde first seen you at? Talk a little bit about that.
So it was Queen Anne's County Youth Basketball League. And we talking about this because he used to kill and that Dominique Sutler. He was like the goat in that league.
James always played by him. Yeah, he gave him
so it was that league. I think I might have played it 2 years, but I think it was one. And I cannot for the life of me remember if I played on Mr. Leffelman's team or if Shania played. Because me and Shania, like obviously we lived right next to each other. We're cousins. We used to go to practice together. Mm-hmm. But in middle school, we played on separate teams. And so there was a middle school team. And so I think when I was in 8th grade is when Queen Anne's came back into the Bayside. Because Queen Anne's wasn't in the Bayside. In like the 90s, early 90s, they weren't in the Bayside, I think in the 80s. But they were there in the 70s. And so I think I was in middle school when they came back into the Bayside. And so I remember. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I remember being in 8th grade and Mr. Hyde coming to. Like it was like a meeting for whoever wanted to play interested in playing basketball in high school. And he came to the school and just was talking to us about the team and the process and things like that. And so yeah, that was the first team that I played on before high school.
And talk about the going to high school and obviously ninth grade and let me know how it works and let the people know how it works, because I know obviously for the guys in Easton, we had JV, mm-hmm. obviously ninth grade, 10th grade, unless you're good enough to move up, and obviously 11, 12 varsity. Was it the same way with women's sports in Queen Anne's, or mm-hmm. how was it in ninth grade? And talk about that, and then talk about the team you played on JV ninth grade.
So Queen Anne, like I said, had just gotten back into the Bayside, and so Queen Anne's in '96. So I started ninth grade in '96. Queen Anne's in '96 was 4A. Queen Anne didn't. Yeah, Queen Anne was big because we only had one high school, so everybody went to the same high school. So it was a larger school, obviously a larger pool of talent. So there were actually for girls, and I don't know if it was for boys too. We had 3 teams. We had a freshman team, we had a JV team, and we had varsity, obviously. And so when I was in ninth grade, I was on the freshman team. Mm-hmm. And so when we tried out, again, me and Shania, you can't tell us we're not better than everybody, right?
Right. Yeah, confidence. Yeah. As you should. Mm-hmm.
So we just know that like we used to kill it in the Queen Anne's County Youth Basketball League, mm-hmm. like playing against other people from like Sutlersville area or from like Graysonville, Canal, like we would all, or Chestertown, we would all like play each other. So we were familiar with like the talent. So we literally thought we were like better than everybody. Mm-hmm. But when we like after the first the cuts, we got in a car, like we were crying, we were like mm-hmm. so upset, and Mom was like, "What's wrong? Did y'all get cut?" Like, "No, we made the freshman team." Like, we were so like distraught, like it was the end of the world. Man, it was like the best thing that I think probably could have happened to any of us, mm-hmm. aside from the fact that we got like hand-me-down uniforms or whatever. But it was the first and only time I had a black female coach. Shout out to Miss Hopkins.
Yeah, and I want to ask you mm-hmm. that now. I might interrupt you now, and I might be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Hopkins, yeah, she was your
freshman coach.
No, thank you. That's
mm-hmm.
what I was going to say. Y'all ended up playing her.
I never did.
Oh, you never played?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I never played. I don't think she was the coach when I played.
Okay. We'll get to that. Maybe. I had some little tidbits about that, but yeah, I'm glad you acknowledge her, as well, and that split, Ken Island and that whole thing. And I think also I can see the freshman team helping you because as you grow together, you go through your freshman, your sophomore, junior, as a senior. Mm-hmm. I'm sure by the time y'all junior seniors, y'all knew who each other were, y'all, chemistry wise, stuff like that. So what was the step 10th grade? So then you go from freshman to JV. 10th grade, was there any chance you thought you might be on varsity 10th grade, or how did that whole thing work with 10th? Do y'all have 10th graders going?
We did. So we had, I think, Taisha Ryans and Tiffany Sewell. They were on varsity in 10th grade. But by the time we got to 10th grade, I didn't want to be on varsity because it was all the people that I wanted to stay with. So, me, Shania, Rachel, Mal, Toy, Thomas, like we all played together. Like Michelle, Pearson, we were all together on 9th grade, and then by the time we got on 10th, it was like, okay, it's Michelle Darlin, and and then at that point, Felicia was in 9th grade, and so Felicia and Tammy, and so we were like, no, we good. We good, and we were good. Yeah. So freshman year, we lost a game. We lost one game.
Remember what that was too? So it was only one game. I know I put you on the spot. You ain't got to answer. You said one game. Like sometimes that one might stand out. But go ahead. And then JV, how'd y'all do?
JV, I don't remember how many losses we had, but it wasn't. So I'll say this. In 4 years, lost 16 games. I think it was. So yeah. So it wasn't a lot. On JV, and then again we had a great coach. We had Mr. Boyard, who, like I was telling you earlier, I think one game we did nothing but bounce passes. Right? You want bounce pass? We're gonna give you a bounce pass this entire game. So very fundamental, like bounce pass. Squeeze the orange. That's what he would always say. So I appreciate those steps. I've said I could have got 1,000 points if I play one extra year varsity, but it's I wouldn't cash in my JV and freshman years in for 1 year just to,
So, with that being said, obviously, you go through your freshman year, one loss, JV was great, but now it's varsity. So now it's, it means a little more. Obviously, when you were a freshman, if I'm not mistaken, y'all had a real good team, won the North that year. So now you're a junior. What was, even before you talk about, we get into some of the games and the rivalry and stuff like that, what was just your mindset? I'm always keen on the mindset. What was your mindset going into 11th grade, especially with some of the teammates that you've been playing with basically for 2 years? What were you thinking? I'm going to go here and kill. We're going to definitely win. Just talk.
I thought and I knew that we were going to go out there and eat because when I was in 10th grade, the graduating seniors, it was quite a bit of them, right? So it was a lot of them. So I knew that there was going to be a space for me, right? And so I didn't think that playing time would be an issue. I felt like I more than improving myself. So I wasn't concerned about that. And then I knew how good we were on JV all together as a unit. And most of us went up to varsity together. So to me, it was just this is going to be a smooth transition. Because as JV, you play the JV teams of the other schools, right? So you see who coming up with you.
Right.
We see what we did to y'all. We could do this, on the varsity level. So that's what I felt. I don't know what everybody else felt. And when I was in 10th grade, the varsity team, they were in that transition year. To me, I feel like the way Queen Anne's basketball is set up is that you are real good for a few years, and you'll have a rent cycle, right? For a couple years. And I think that was one of those years where they were just all right, so who are we? But after that, found our way.
Yeah, I think even since I can remember, and we'll get into that, but Queen has always been consistent. Like you said, you might have a year or two down, which a lot of programs do, but you always end up bringing in, a lot of, younger players that by the time they get to junior and senior years, they're ready to go. So 11th grade starts. Is there a moment or a game that sticks out to you, 11th grade, that you were all right, I'm on varsity now, and I can do this thing. I think not only am, I can be the player that Mr. Hobb needs me to be, but also, with my teammates, I think we can be pretty special.
I think it probably was the first game. We played, I think we would play Cambridge the first game every season, it felt like.
And they had Danielle Gaines.
They had Danielle Gaines, who I love.
Yeah.
I know she's not on here, but hey. So they had Danielle, and they had I think it was at least 3 girls that felt like they was at least 5'10" to 6'2". They were trees out there. So we lost that first game, but I did all right. I think I had like 17 points, and so I was like, all right, it felt comfortable.
Right. So even though y'all lost, you still felt comfortable in your game, and then also the team where you're like, we can be pretty good.
Yeah, I think like obviously your first game for us, it was like you got two really kind of separate groups of girls coming together. Like you had this group that played together 1 and 2 seasons, which is a lot, I feel, in 4-year frame. And then you have another smaller group that had been together for 1 and 2 years because they were at that point sophomores and juniors.
Shout out some of your before we go on. Shout some of the juniors out at that time, and then the seniors that you had on there. I know you named a couple. Already,
so the juniors that were on varsity, I'll just start on that side. Like the juniors that were on varsity were Tyesha and Tiffany, Rhines, and Tiffany Sewell were the juniors on varsity, right? That had been on varsity, and then the seniors were Cammy McNinch, remember that name, and Megan Kropfelder and Natalie Wright. So it was only 5 of them because that 98 class was such a large class.
Right.
And so they were like had played on varsity, and then on that the folks that were on JV going to varsity that were juniors were myself, Shania, Toy Thomas, Michelle Darlin, Michelle Pearson, Rachel Mao, and we started the season. This is like one of the parts of my basketball career that I hate the most. But we started the season with Fallon, this girl named Fallon Dillon, who was tall, slim. She could rebound. She was really aggressive. I love playing with her. I love her game. But she also was like super good at softball. She was a pitcher.
Oh, okay.
And so I think she made a choice. And so she she left the team. Yeah,
that was another piece. Yeah, it's always a piece or two that when you look back, you're like, we ain't had that person. Yeah. So that's cool.
And then we had like 3 sophomores. I think Toy, Felicia Commodore, Tammy McElroy, and Diana Clackray.
Yeah, we'll be hearing more about Felicia. She was a beast. Shout out to Felicia and Tyesha Rhines. And the reason I asked you that about the game, because I was reading one game that sticks out to me like I was there, but I was reading about that. I don't know if you remember, y'all played Glen Burnie.
With Essence.
Y'all play, with Essence. Y'all played Glen Burnie. She had like 23 that game, but y'all won. You had 19. And after the game, Mr. Hyde said that games like that, you have the ability to take over even more than you do. So that's why I didn't know if you were going to say Glen Burnie or that was in your mind. But Mr. Hyde, this comes from Mr. Hyde.
Rest in peace.
Mr. Hyde, great man. That stood out to him. That Glen Burnie.
I forgot about that game.
Yeah. So that was interesting.
We played it in Glen Burnie. That I do remember.
Yeah, how did that work? Because I know y'all also played that year. Elkton.
Yeah.
I was looking at one that said Chesapeake.
We played Chesapeake.
Chesapeake.
I think Chesapeake is in Cecil County.
Okay. So y'all was playing. I see y'all beat them.
Or Southern Maryland.
Southern Maryland. I see y'all beat them by 2. You had 20 against them. Had a good game against Elkton too. So I was wondering about how that worked, being where y'all was located at, that you would get some of them teams.
We would play more. We would play more like Anne Arundel County, some Baltimore County schools. Then we would play South Bayside schools. We never played anyone from Delaware.
That makes sense.
We never. I don't recall ever playing
trying to go away to Chrisfield or Pocomo.
Yeah,
that's forward.
We played Washington. We would play Bennett, but we didn't play like Stephen Decatur. We didn't play like any of those like far south teams.
Gotcha.
We played Wahai. They threw stuff at us.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's another good game you had against Wahai. You had 20. I was going into your senior year, but I want to talk about still in your junior year. I want to talk about, and it's fine if it goes over into your senior year, but obviously being from Easton, the rivalry with Easton. I don't know. I don't know if y'all considered it a rivalry then. Reading in the paper, I know one of the quotes even Brooke Barrier had that it definitely was a rivalry. Now, your junior year in Centerville, in Queen Anne's, y'all won. Y'all beat them, and then in Easton, which has always been a tough place to play for the way, they beat y'all, and Brooke, Wandy, and Tara, Tara, of course, they combined for 55. what would you say was the difference kind of in those two outcomes or in those two games? You know what I mean? Because y'all were always kind of, that season y'all were kind of right around each other with Colonel. Y'all three were kind of those three teams. What do you think was the biggest difference in those games?
I don't know. I mean, maybe the home court advantage, but I just felt like Easton always had our number, like always, and we just couldn't get them. Like we couldn't dial a win on them. Like I told you, like Shawanda probably was the most dominant player I've ever played against. So you don't have a 1-to-1 for Shawanda, right? Like all you do is throw bodies at her and hope she fouls out, and then from there, right, you might be smooth sailing, but like it's getting there. It's getting through 4 quarters of throwing. Our bench is, I think, relatively deep, but you can only go so deep. So
right.
I thought that Queen Anne's was a hard place to play. I know that Easton is a difficult place to play, so I do think it might have just been like home court advantage doing what it's supposed to do, give you an advantage when you're at home. Because I felt like playing at Queen Anne's for girls basketball was difficult because we actually had people show up for our games. So
y'all did. I remember that even back then. Like y'all was one of those women programs, girls programs that y'all had fans there, and no disrespect to the boys, but sometimes more than the boys.
They know.
So I'm sure being in that environment, that had to be pretty cool, to be able to play.
Yeah.
In that. And it looks like also that year. I don't know if you remember this or any of your teammates remember this, but I don't know what happened in the holiday tournament. Y'all just but y'all went over 2 in the holiday tournament. I don't know, y'all just lollygagged.
We never won our own holiday. Never.
Really?
Never. Never. Not ever. Like never have we ever been able to do it. I don't know what it is. It might be that it's the holidays that that it doesn't count towards your record.
Yeah.
So in some respects, it could be a mid-season scrimmage. But we never got it right. We were literally always sign us up for the consolation game in every single one of our tournaments. But I don't know.
And I was just wondering about that rivalry because I've seen games even with Wandy, even the senior year, 22 points, 19 rebounds.
Yeah, what do you do with that?
What do you do with that? And shout out to Wandy, she'll be on in May. I look forward to that down bottom. That's where we from. But so I looked at some of those numbers. So y'all split that year, and Colonel Richardson, which is another rival of y'all. You guys ended up playing them pretty tight as well that season. Talk about that rivalry as well, because you guys split as well that year. And the game that sticks out to me was the game that you guys lost on, where it was a 50-47 ball game. They beat y'all by 3 points. And obviously, when you start looking back at the record, because y'all was right at the top of the Bayside, and you start going back at some of those losses, little play here, little play there, like with every game.
Yeah.
But what stuck out to me looking at it against Colonel was that Colonel got to the line 38 times. Tan Pitts, out of Tan Pitts, she was a beast. She got there 16 times. You guys as a team, compared to them, only got there 22, but you shot 7 for 22 from the foul line.
Right. Was that me? Or
no.
Oh.
First of all, you got to the line 22 times. My God. James Harden, but no, as a team, you guys were 7 for 22. Wow. So no one shot good from the line. So you look at a 3-point ball game, if you make 4, you make 4 of them.
Yeah.
You go 11 for 22. But what do you make about either that game in particular or just that rivalry with Colonel as well?
I hated them. I loved playing them. Man, I love playing them. But Lord, I hated them. So Mom watches, so she can learn too. I remember this game because shout out to Keith, rest in peace. Keith Cook was our ref this game. Keith cooked us that game, right? I want to say we didn't make our free throws. Okay, I'll take it. We didn't make our free throws, but he cooked us on them calls, and so I am actually going to be that person that blames it on the ref. He definitely apologized years later, but we'll blame that one on the ref, and a sweet little combination of that with the fact that we just couldn't hit a shot. We couldn't hit a shot, but I tell you, if we're gonna get up for somebody, it's gonna be Colonel.
Yeah. And who else did Colonel had that year along with Tam Pitts?
So they had Nisha Ray Fountain. She was a point guard. She's very fast. Nisha Ray Fountain.
She's another one I heard about. Back then. Didn't know, you know what I mean? That's one of the names too.
You had Tamra, and you had I think her name is Lisa Nagel, and Leslie Staley. I think it's who was on there my junior year. So yeah, there's one more person I cannot remember her name. I feel like she's last name is Nichols or something. But that's who they had. So they were tough. They were tough.
Got you. So like it says, pretty much nip and tuck. The final standings, you, Queen Anne's, Easton, and Colonel all ended up with the same North Bayside record, right? But they had the best overall.
Yeah.
So Colonel ended up, winning the Bayside and getting in.
Technically.
Technically, right? You got something you want to speak on that?
I just want to say that technically we, Queen Anne's County girls basketball team, we won the North my junior year because Colonel apparently, I think it was their last game of the season. I think they had like an unqualified coach or something like that. And so months later, after the next season had started, was when they said Colonel had to forfeit that title because their coach was ineligible. I think it was ineligible. So technically we were the North. So, but yeah.
And I do want to say the other game that sticks out your junior year, and I'm gonna try to speak up too. Shout out my man Sorrell. So Ryan Count, that's probably me. Against Colonel, the other game, you hit 6 free throws in the last 2 minutes. The ice game ended with 24 points, 19 in the second half, 8 for 9 from the foul line. So that was the other game that y'all beat them by 4, 60-56. I wanted to point that out as well. That even though they got y'all that game, you did get them. You did split with them. So they got there. So y'all go to. So what are y'all in? What y'all in? Because I know you were saying y'all was 4A, so y'all consider 2A.
Not yet.
Right. Y'all still consider 1A.
So Kent Island High School opened when 98 or 99.
Yeah, I think 98, 99, something like that.
So Kent Island High School opened, and so when Kent Island High School opened, and the population split, I think that's when
but junior year y'all were still considered 2A because y'all
were we?
Yeah, because y'all the first game y'all ended up playing, y'all played North Carolina.
Okay. In the playoffs.
Yeah, in the playoffs, y'all played Keena Hawkins.
Keena. Yeah.
So talk about just Keena's game and how you knew obviously to beat them. What you guys ended up beating them by 12. What was the key to victory? If I'm not mistaken, I think y'all probably had Toy Thomas.
Yeah, on
her, trying to put some pressure on her. But talk about that victory.
So North Carolina had Keena, and they also had Tia Rich. And they had Noel.
Yeah. She was double too. Yeah.
So I felt like every team kind of had this triad. Every team except for Kent County and St. Michael's, I think, probably had this big three, I guess you would say. So what a lot of people didn't know is that our basketball team had 3 of the 4 4x100 team. And so naturally and Tyesha was state champ in the 100. And so just everybody but me really probably was fast, right? And so Toy was she's a Patrick Beverly, Gary Payton, Mike Blake pesky defender, right? She's just gonna be all up in you.
Yeah.
And so whenever we would play these tall guard led teams, right? So you got Tiffany Cephas, you got Keena, and St. Michael's. Their player was Laura Taraby, I think her name was. She played golf too. She was good. So Toy was that girl who would guard those players. And so usually, if you can shut that person down, if you can keep them contained, then it boded well.
Tara, of course, and Michelle Nichols.
Michelle Nichols. Yeah. That's her. And so Toy was our person. So Toy would guard Keena because Keena was, she bringing the ball up. She also getting rebounds. But, you also have the players to worry about too. But yeah, Toy was, whenever we would play teams led by tall guards or really strong guards, Toy was go-to. So,
great. And I'm glad you brought up the track and field because a lot of y'all know I had Robert Thomas, shout out Robert Thomas on last season. He talked about the importance of that track and field training. You know, whether it's in football, basketball, but getting that track and field training into another particular sport. So I'm glad y'all were doing that before y'all even knew. You know.
Yeah,
so.
Most of the people on our team played another sport. Like so, if they didn't play basketball,
key.
like I probably was the only one who didn't play at something else. So if you didn't play basketball, you played soccer, you played lacrosse, or you ran track. And so, like, we were right. Like, basketball shape is different.
Yeah.
But if you come in from track or soccer or lacrosse, like, you're a little bit more equipped to handle, like, a faster pace. We would run a lot. We would press a lot. And so, like, having people that were on the track team made it a lot easier.
Talk about, you know, playing Parkside in the playoffs and how tough Parkside was and some of the weapons that some of the people here might not know that Parkside had on the women's side.
So I'll just talk about junior year.
Yeah,
we can go in order.
Yeah,
we didn't know anything about them, right? Like we didn't know anything about them, which was like our bad. But we played like Western Shore teams, so we weren't looking down there, but we should have because between Renee Wallace and Kim, I can't remember her name, but and they were good. They were really, really good. We just were not. They weren't on our radar, not because like we just didn't know better, right? And I don't think we knew better. I don't think we knew better to prepare for them or what we could do with them. And I think we might have come out hot just on some old like
y'all did
adrenaline
because
and
you hit 2 threes
and Michelle hit 3.
Michelle hit a 3. And y'all actually jumped up 11-4.
And then they did like a triangle and 2 or box and 1, and we just had no idea what to do with that after that. And so there that went. But they were good. They were just so good, and we just couldn't. We weren't prepared to handle them. As fundamental as we were, I felt like Queen Anne's is very because it's of the system that existed. Like you come into it, and once you figure out where your space is, it's just it wasn't. I guess kind of how like the triangle offense
that was Kim Davis too. From
I guess how like a triangle, like a system is, an offensive system is. Like when you know where your space is, you fill that space, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. Like it's just a new set of talent each time.
Yeah.
But we didn't know nothing about those girls down there playing like men.
Kim Davis was a beast.
I
got to see her. I think when she was a freshman actually that year, your junior year. I think I got to see her when she was like a junior. So I can only imagine how she was as a freshman and as a sophomore. So you know that's tough. So I mean obviously y'all go out hard loss to Parkside. How did you feel though about the season and what y'all had accomplished, even though fell a little short to the Bayside, even though with the technicality and obviously fought the Parkside, but you did get a playoff win. I mean, how did that make you feel about the season? Hungry for next year, or what were your thoughts?
Yeah, because we felt like that year we were supposed to win the North and to be able to play in the Bayside. You know, to have that opportunity to win Bayside. Because I don't know how everyone else feels, but it's a little like winning your conference has a different sense of pride than obviously winning states is great. But I was also very realistic about the talent in the state of Maryland, and that once you cross the water and you go into like the PG counties and you know what I'm saying, it's different. Like the crop of talent is different, and so it's like, all right, eat where you can eat, right? You know what I'm saying? And so we really wanted that title. We really wanted to be able to play at the Civic Center, to have an opportunity to win the whole thing, but we never did. So it was like, all right, we get another chance to do it next year.
And I do want to shout you out for that year, your junior year, made second team, led the team with 23 3-pointers, averaged 15 points, 16 rebounds. One player though you didn't talk about a lot that you guys complemented each other well. You guys had actually a big ending in the Washington game. You guys were down 4. You hit 2 free throws, call the jump ball, get another free throw. Cammie McNinch, she gets a layup. She actually ended up making the first team that year, which was her senior year.
Yeah.
So just talk about what she did, because if I'm not mistaken, she ran point.
Yeah,
but she also played center, which is like wow. So just talk about her game before we move to your senior year.
Who were we watching play? Was it Loyola Chicago when they were like, he's a point center?
Oh yeah.
And we were like, what the hell is a point center?
Yeah.
If point center had to be defined, I feel like it would be Cammy. Like she literally ran point. Like she ran the show on offense. And then on defense, she's playing the middle. She's 5'10", right? Like she's a 3-sport athlete. You know what I'm saying? Like so she was a unicorn. She was a unicorn. And then so she definitely deserved to make first team. And she is the best teammate, right? Like she's a pass first. Although she can give you a double, right? I felt like it was my 2 years of varsity, at least 3 or 4 of us going to give you a double. We can give you one on any given night, but she was it. And so yeah, Cammy was a great player. I think Cammy played 3 years of varsity.
That's what's up. So you're going into your senior year, and obviously I know your mindset is like, obviously this year or no year, and you got the team, basically the same team coming back except for Cammy, which big loss. Don't get me wrong, being on the first team, but you guys still had people that kind of do what she did and replace her. Obviously, Felicia's a year older. You guys are a year older, and the pieces that you had. I want to go right to the North Dorchester game, the first game. Shout out to North Dorchester, Tiffany Cephas, Antoinette Hughes, all them. Ashley Warwick at the time. She got married, can't get a married name.
LaShonda Davis. I mean, not LaShonda Davis. Yeah. No, did she play for North Dorchester?
I think it was. I don't think it was that same. I can't remember.
It's Henson, Shantae Henson, but I think LaShonda Davis played also.
But I want to go to that first time y'all played them, because the year before, you guys lost by 1 point, and record wise they weren't that good, but they matched up good with y'all. So this next year, they've got a new coach who was their assistant. They've got a new coach. So you guys are going in, and remember the year before was basically you, Colonel, and Easton. Early on this season, it's actually a little changes. It's y'all, Queen Anne's. I want to say Easton sometimes. I say y'all, it's Queen Anne's. It's actually Kent County early on. Yeah, Kent County, like the first couple weeks, they had Greta Summers, and they had Tori Turner. Shout out to Tori Turner. She was a freshman on that team. Yeah, she's a freshman on that team. She was tough. And then also you had North Dorchester. So you guys played them, and you guys ended up beating them. But the thing you kept talking about when y'all won, y'all ended up winning by 17, was rebounds. Y'all had a rebound, and you talked about how you got to watch your tape of the year before. So talk about the importance of rebounding and what Coach Hyde said to y'all at that time.
So if Queen Anne ain't gonna do nothing right, we're gonna rebound the ball, and we're gonna break a press, right? Like I still know the press breaker, like I still know it by heart. And that was just something that every position, it wasn't just like the 4s and 5s, like you better know how to rebound, like everybody. Like it's not about how tall you are, it's not about how high you can jump, it's about your position, and it's about your instinct and your timing. And so like the instinct and timing, for the most part, is like inherited, but the positioning was like taught between Marcus Hollis and Mr. Hyde. Like we were taught how to position ourselves for rebounds regardless of how tall or short you were. So I do think like that was just something that was just instilled in us. And then I'm a shooter. If you're gonna miss it, who knows where the ball going first, right? Like so, I know it probably wasn't captured, but I can't imagine how many like second chance points we got and how many offensive rebounds we had just from knowing where my 3 gonna land when it doesn't, when it doesn't go in.
Yeah, and the rebounding was something, because I looked at the rebounding numbers, and I don't know if Tysh and Felicia aren't here, but you 3 out rebounded North Dorchester that first game. As a team, they had 27 rebounds. You 3 had 30. Y'all had 39 as a total as a team, but you 3 had 30. And then points, y'all 3 combined for 48. So y'all had 48 points combined, 30 rebounds. When you rebounded like that, you got 10, Felicia got 11, Tasha got 9, along with 15 points, 14 points, and 19 points that you had. I mean, that's tough to beat. That's tough to beat. So it seemed like early on, y'all came with that mentality, like, okay, it's our North. let's go get it. Because early on, I looked at y'all play Waha. You had 20. Y'all played Kent. Beat them. But again, here it comes. Again, the rivals again, Easton, and Colonel.
Yeah.
Now, let's start actually with Colonel. Then I'm gonna go to Easton. I'm gonna go ahead and pivot to Easton. So Colonel this year, not as good, right, as the year before because they lost
Michelle and Misha Ray.
Lost Misha Ray. But still had 10 picks. Now, if I'm not mistaken, though, they ended up beating y'all both games that year.
I must have blocked it out.
Yeah, Colonel they ended up beating y'all, both games. They ended up sweeping y'all, both games. Which when you go down to the final standings, stuff like that ends up, biting you back and come back and hurt. But what was it that year? Was it just because Tan Pitts, she did go on another level.
Yeah.
That year. I mean, she was good her junior year, but that senior year, she even took her to another level. But just matchup wise, and just it's tough to say.
Probably. I know that she elevated her game for sure. And I don't know, when did we play? We played them early in this. Well, we had to have played them like early in the season, early in the schedule. I know for me, like I struggled coming out the gate my senior year because I had given birth in September of that year, and then was back again for basketball in November, and so I got off to a slow start. Not to blame that on my losses, but I don't know. Like I think some people just have your number, and between them two, like between Colonel and Easton, man, like we just couldn't get right. Like I don't, I don't know if it's because of like friendships and like personal like relationships. Like I played AAU with Tamara. One of my biggest basketball regrets is not being able to play with, I think it was Tamara, Tara, and Wandy were on an AAU team like that summer that I was pregnant. I really wanted to be on that team. And so I suspect that, their games elevated from playing at that level because they were good. The team that they were on were good.
Yeah.
So yeah, that probably was a lot of. Dang, I don't remember losing to them twice.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Because we played them in playoffs. We played them in the playoffs.
Colonel?
We played Colonel in the playoffs. I feel like we played Colonel. Did we play them like one time that we? So remember I told you about how Shania smacked what's his name?
Yeah.
So that must have been like we didn't lose that game. We did lose that game. They did. Yeah, we did lose that game. Yeah.
But so then going back to Easton. So the first game, y'all beat them by 14, but it was a lot closer, and they were a young team. And I remember that year, they literally just had Wandy, and no disrespecting about, but they literally just had Wandy and Tara Courts. They were younger. Brooke had graduated. Yeah. So the first game, y'all beat them by 14, even though early on, they was getting the best of y'all, and it was a couple possessions here or there that could have went either way. But the next game, y'all played them. Y'all won 59 to 50, but Wandy and Tara had 45 of their 50. Shout out to Tara, of course.
Shout out to Tara.
Tara had 20, and Wandy had 25 of the 50. So I looked at that, I was like, it's tough to win like that, but they still almost it just goes to show, like you said, matchups matter. Yeah. Rivalries matter. Yeah. And some players, some teams you get up for more than other teams. Yeah. That's true statement. So with all this going on, we can talk about Colonel, we can talk about Easton. It's still you in North Dorchester though. Kent County's out the way now, so it's still you in North Dorchester. North Dorchester had a tough loss to Colonel. They lost by 2. Norca had to tip in, rebound at the end of the game. So y'all going in locked in, and y'all going to face each other in North Dorchester, right? And the thing about it is, I'm gonna set the stage for you because I remember it was a Saturday game because Easton, because there was a whole bunch of makeups and stuff. Easton had to go to North Dorchester on a Saturday because that's where I was watching Super Bunkman play.
They played that same day.
They played that Saturday, February 5th, 2000, and y'all played as well. Y'all played on a Saturday, so. I talked about the first game of the year when y'all played them. Y'all won by 17, pretty handily. What changed? Because Antoinette Hughes had a good game the first time y'all played, but that was it. Y'all put, Toy on Tiffany, but this game, I think Antoinette had 16, Tiffany had 17, and it looks like you guys just couldn't get in that rhythm. Y'all had a lot of one thing about y'all when y'all lost, it was either, and this is probably like there were a lot of teams, but y'all either got out rebounded or you missed a lot of free throws, and this one it was a combination of both. So do you remember anything about the difference? Because it wasn't no in between, like it was both of them. Yeah, it was two extremes. You know what I mean?
One thing that I think that we did was carry the overwhelming win, carry it to the second game. You know what I'm saying? Thinking like we're gonna play the same team, but people scout you too. Like people make adjustments, and I just don't think we were prepared, right? So clearly, like, they made adjustments, and usually you do if you lose. But we went in probably overconfident that we were just going to beat them handily, like we beat them the first time, and didn't.
Yeah, and that's what Mr. Hod had said, and that was North Dorchester's first North title since '83.
I know.
That was their first house since '83. But that's what Mr. Hod kind of said, is that y'all never quit, y'all kept fighting, and y'all had some chances, but he think y'all was just a little too nervous, like the pressure, because y'all knew if y'all won.
You would have meant. Yeah, I never cried so hard after a game, and I've never had somebody from the other team hug me after. Oh wow! Tiffany hugged me after.
Yeah. So it was a lot, but it was a great game. So basically at that point, that took y'all to 14-5. They were 16-4. And then Colonel was 13-5 at the time. So North Dorchester went on to win the North, and they actually played Parkside good in the Bayside game. They only lost by like 6 points. But so regular season's over. So y'all didn't get the Bayside, but hey, you win it. You win it for the states anyway, right? So you start the journey. A familiar foe comes back again in a rival. You guys got to play Easton. I don't know if Terry Corson remember, but you guys got to play Easton in the playoffs, and I must say it was an ugly game. Looking at the stats and just the numbers and the turnovers and stuff like that. The one that gave y'all a spark, and you can touch on this, was Danielle Emery. Rest in peace. She rest in peace. She gave y'all a spark, and I definitely want you to touch on that, and also Toy Thomas came and gave you a spark as well. So talk about that, because it was another thing where Easton wasn't that good that year record wise, but they were this close to still beating y'all, even though y'all were the superior team. So just talk about that. Anything you remember from that game, and also Danielle's performance as well.
I used to love watching Danielle play because Danielle was very, very confident. I loved it. She was super confident, and if her confidence hit with like her shots or with her energy, like she wasn't a shooter, she was a scorer. Like Danielle could make her shots, and I do actually remember that because I remember how well we didn't. The rest of us didn't play, and like I said, Toy is like the Patrick Beverly. She'll get on your nerves. Like she will get on your nerves.
That's
like
for real.
She don't. Again, this look of indifference and not caring how pesky she is, not fouling you, feet quick, hands quicker, like, and so like it's those intangibles that you need, like for those games where you just playing somebody 3 times in one season is a lot.
Yeah, it is.
So like 3 times in 20 games. Yeah.
As the Saints when they play the Bucks, it's hard to be the team 3 times.
Yeah.
So that's a great point. And Tara said she remembered again. She said how was scouting all the way across the bridge.
Yeah.
For that one for sure. Tim, what's good? So you guys beat Easton, like you said, sluggish game, but you get through. You win. You go on, and you scored in double figures that game as well. But Danielle, she led y'all. North Hartford.
Yeah.
North Hartford didn't know anything about y'all.
Right. But we knew about them.
But y'all knew about them, and they actually were a bigger team, but like you always say, his mantra is about rebounding. Yeah. What do you remember about that game?
So I remember that game because I feel like Easton boys played their boys before.
I think so too.
And I remember Bonky telling me that he saw the girls practice and that they rotated the ball a lot. They swung the ball around the perimeter. they played slower. And so I remember telling that to the rest of the team, and we ended up using that, like, their game plan against it. Like, we were rotating the ball.
Oh, okay.
And so, you know what I mean? Like, we were swinging the ball. So it's like we took I remember that specifically. And we ended up basically doing to them what they had planned to do with us.
Yeah.
And so I felt like we played really well. It was like we played even, we played good, we felt good. And I think getting through like the playoff jitters playing Easton was helpful. And then having some extra information about this team that none of us had heard about, that was helpful. And then we listened to each other.
Yeah. You could probably, maybe other than the game y'all beat North Dorchester, you could probably argue that was y'all best game of the year because of the stakes, it being in the playoffs, and y'all won 64-48.
Yeah.
And you had 16 points, 15 boards. So what was your mindset? I know I've asked about the team, but what was your mindset going that game? Because you're a senior.
Yeah.
You know, you had a subpar game against Easton. So what was your mind frame going there knowing they had a lot of bigs and what you needed to do?
I think it was rebound, because I think that's what we talked about all season, really, is like rebounding. Like, I knew I could score, right? Like, I knew I could jump and position myself for rebounds, and we knew, like, those are the areas that we come up short. You know what I'm saying? And so, other than obviously free throws. But I think it was the rebounding. Like, that was something that we emphasized, and that for the most part, we're going to score if we need to score. But collecting those rebounds, like, I think all of us, me, Tyasha, and Felicia, our rebounds all went up that season. Tremendously.
I'll definitely say that. So, beat North Hartford. So now it's time. It's a 2-way final.
Yeah.
I mean, you win. You know, you're going across the bridge, which, you know, I can't imagine being in that situation. I never been that close to it. Another familiar, foe. You know, I mean, y'all kept playing a lot of people, the same. So, the year before, y'all lost to Parkside. Parkside is back. You guys play them, but a little bit different. You know, y'all didn't start off as hot, but you guys are right there with them. At the half, they ended up being up 14, which may seem like a lot, but really it wasn't, because the year before y'all lost 70-34. Y'all lost 70-34. So I just want to make it plain for the people. I didn't give it to them. This time around, at the half, it was 41-27. So, you guys are right there. And you had you definitely came out with it seemed like a much aggressive mindset, because you had 21 points to lead. Tasha had a good game. I think she had 14, and Tiffany Sewell, I think she had 10. So let's talk about that again. Y'all lost, but it was a much better effort than before when y'all played the year before.
So one thing, we knew him, right? We knew him.
Good point.
And I think we were less afraid. I think, gosh, we played I don't know if the boys got that deep in the playoffs, but I remember the boys playing Parkside one time. Queen Anne's boys. Shut up. I remember them playing Parkside once, like being there one day before us, and I remember
shout out to my boys.
Lily coming back, or maybe it was Ivory, saying, Meek, we heard them say they wearing jeans and Timbs to the game tomorrow. They're not dressing up. They wearing jeans and Timbs. And so I was like, yeah, we gonna wear jeans and Timbs. No, damn well I don't got no damn Timbs. But we gonna wear jeans and Timbs, like kind of using the North Hartford, like, like that mentality. Like, how they prepare for us is how we're gonna prepare for them. And I think we were a little more ready for them. Like, we had seen for the most part what they had. And we felt like we were better. We'd only lost, from the previous year, we'd only lost 3 people. Only 2 of them were starters. Felicia was better. Felicia was the tallest person on our team, but Felicia is the biggest hustler. Like, she on the floor for the ball. Like, she is like jumping out of bounds. She was a dancer, so she's light on her feet, right? Like, so she's going after the ball. So we felt like we had better weapons. And I think we felt like we could have matched up with them a little better. And that's why we were so mad about not making the Baseball, because I really think we thought we could beat them.
And that would have been another chance to kind of see.
We would have been able to feel it out a little better.
Yeah, for sure. So end of the season, obviously a lot of tears, which is going to be during that time. But great season. You get picked, obviously, while winning for the Cliff Mr. All-Star game. I want you to talk about your experience with that game, because shout out to you, Tara, Wandy, 10 Pitts. Y'all won 80-77.
Mm-hmm.
You four combined for 61 of the 80 points. And y'all got busy. Sarah especially got busy in the fourth. She had all 10 of her points in the fourth quarter. So talk about that All-Star game.
So that was the first time that in a minute that the boys and the girls won. So because the boys won too. And I just want to say there were 3 Queen Anne's players on the
I was gonna say that. Yeah, tell the other 2 that was.
Tyesha and Tiffany both made All-Star team, and we all went down there with Mr. Hyde. Drove down there with Mr. Hyde. Robert Pitts was our coach, and I was excited to play with them because I had never played. I think I had played AAU maybe one team with Tara. I'd never played with Wandy before. Definitely never played with Wandy, Tara, and Tamara. So I was excited about playing with
fun. Yeah, playing with people you used to playing with.
And so we just got out there and had fun. Like I don't think any of us thought that that All-Star team was better than our All-Star team, right? Like, And so we just got out there and played. We did almost screw it up at the end. None of the 4 of us, but somebody almost screwed it up at the end. And but we came out with the dub. But it was fun. I had a lot of fun playing that game. I always wish that those All-Star games had like a 3-point contest, and I mean girls couldn't participate in the dunk contest, but not yet. But I think it would be fun to make it a little bit more than just the game.
Yeah, I agree. At least a 3-point contest. 3-point contest for y'all, and for the guys that they want to do a 3 dunk contest, something like that. But great All-Star game, and getting to the accomplishments. I said you were second team your junior year. I do want to shout out. I said she's gonna be here, but y'all might be wondering who got Player of the Year. Her junior it was Wandy. Wandy got Player of the Year as a junior. So now as seniors, Tan Pitts is Player of the Year, but you make first team, and I know you felt like you should have been on there your junior year. So how did that feel, making the first team All Bayside, and also let people know how you found out?
So I mean, it felt good. I felt like I deserved it. Like I felt like I was supposed to be there, right?
Yeah. I mean, double. I mean, like 14 points, 11 boards. Like you say, your score might have been down slightly, but rebounds was up, and I mean, rebounds right there, and everything was still there. Then it highlighted the big games you had in the playoffs, and throughout the season. So of course, you definitely belong there.
I felt like I was obviously it felt good. I think I found out Tiffany Cephas told me at Six Flags or whatever it was then. So she told me, she saw me at a trip, and so she told me not making it junior year though, I have to say, felt very controversial. I definitely felt like I should have been on there. I definitely felt like I should have been on first team junior year. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Because it's interesting because I feel like Star Democrat is very like partial to Talbot County talent. You just put it out there.
I didn't know.
I'm just gonna put it out there.
I got robbed myself.
So when I made first team for senior year, there were 6 people on the first team.
Yeah.
But y'all couldn't squeeze a 6th person in there.
A six
man, or 6 whatever.
Yeah, that was. I seen that they did that one year for us. They did.
That's trash. You gotta do it every year now.
They did actual third team one year.
Yeah. So you gotta do it every year, right? Like don't. Yeah. But anyway, so now I felt good. Like I felt like I deserved it. I felt like everybody who got on there deserved it. Like I thought it was like a really good crop of talent that year, and I've said this to you a lot, that I felt like in the late 90s to 2008 maybe, like talent was far more spread out and evenly dispersed. And I know at Queen Anne's, like nobody had like talent at Queen Anne's had felt like been so evenly dispersed that we didn't have anybody score 1,000 until Hillary Fratsky, and that was like what 03 or something like that.
04, something like that.
And so like, cause trust, like Queen Anne's didn't just get good when we got on varsity. Like my favorite person in the world, Yolanda Boyd, like she was killing it. And, like she graduated I think 95 or whatever. And so like I felt like then like talent was a little bit more evenly distributed, and you didn't have like one person carrying entire teams. So it was a little harder to score over that 1,000-point threshold. Give me one more year, I would have got it though.
Yeah, and like you said though, I mean, still in that particular year, you scored 307 points, in just that one year. At the time, you graduated, which was a little minute ago, but at the time, you were fifth all time in scoring at the time, fifth all time in scoring. Um, now you're
A little further down.
13th. You're 13 now with the different players came, but you were fifth at that time. And in rebounds, you were ninth all time. Right now, you're about 18th, but you're also in the top 20 in steals all time as well. And Taisha Ryan's rebounding, she's top 20.
Yep.
Felicia's
Felicia.
top 3.
Mm-hmm.
Cammy is top 7 or 8. Or
And
top
4
5.
categories.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, steals as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, like it goes back to that talent you were saying that's true. Like you guys were a deep team. You had a lot of different options, and so that's one of the reasons why, like you said, it could have been more, but it wasn't. So that's it. That's a great point. Great point. So I always talk about, and again, Real Sports Fan Podcast. Appreciate everybody tuning in, listening. Got Damika Baker Wilson. Finally got on the show. Been a great conversation talking about the Queen Anne days, what she accomplished on the court. Got a few more minutes here, but it's been awesome. Queen Anne's over the years have always been consistent. I said that earlier. Like I said, maybe a down year or two, but always there. So they're one of those North teams you always gotta watch out for. I talked about the Frasy girls that I remember watching and different ones like that. What makes the program? Like what makes the program so good where you guys are getting these young ladies and bringing this talent out? Is it because they're starting earlier, playing together longer? Is it the system? What do you think? Is it just the talent? I mean,
what corn fed? It's like I think it's the system. Like I said, we were in 8th grade playing with and against each other, right? And then you come into 9th grade, like we ran the same plays that the varsity team was running. We were doing the same press breaker. We were doing the same drills, So we were doing the exact same thing. It's not like the freshman team is over here and y'all go play in the little gym, which we did, but it's fine. JV, y'all go practice at the middle school. Y'all don't know what we doing. Like, nah, we were scrimmaging each other. Like, freshmen, we would scrimmage the JV team. When we were JV, we would beat the varsity team.
Yeah.
So you're playing with and against each other for real, like for 4 years, right? Like, so by the time you actually able to like cook together, it's a little different. Like, and it wasn't like necessarily systems built for a particular talent. Like it was something that worked, right? And like, where does your talent fit in? Like, what do you do? Okay, you're a shooter. Okay, we got a position for you. Like, you rebound. What? Like, we gonna put you here.
Right.
But, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I think it was set up to where you had no choice but to become familiar with it. Like I said, like I know the press breaker. Like I could teach it. You know what I'm saying? So like things were like repetition drilled into your head. Like, don't run from the ball. Squeeze the ball. Don't put lotion on before the game because your hand's gonna be slippery. You know what I'm saying? Don't run from the ball. Bounce past it. Like that's gonna be your primary option. It's like these certain, I guess, rules that like everyone had to abide by. And so like if everybody on the same page, it's just a little easier. And so like I remember in high school, like I would work with middle school kids playing in the youth basketball league. And I remember when they would then be in high school doing the same things that we work with them on in middle school. So it is just like a pipeline, I guess, that's created.
That's a great point. That's what Trini, one of your favorite people, shout out Trin Dog. He said consistency and continuity.
Yeah,
means a lot. And also Kira, she was saying you guys are the queens of fundamentals.
Yes,
and that's another thing you said. You talked about the bounce pass, and stuff like that. So you guys are always real fundamental.
Yeah.
And Mom on here, Mom, sorry, I don't know why it's so low. The computer just got fixed or something. I'm on a different one today, so my bad. But we just about done. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. One final thing I want to add. So outside of basketball, this is the last day of March. Celebrate women. Yes, this month, but really we should be celebrating them every day, right? But talk about the importance of celebrating women and celebrating in particular Black queens as well.
How'd you get here? Your mama, right?
Mama watching. Shout out to mom.
That's why it's important. bless the creators of life, the bearers of life. Like, come on now, like that's women. So I think it's really important to um, pay respect when respect is due, right? And like so you look at the NCAA.
Oh man, that whole thing
Right.
here with the men got one thing of weights and
Got
the
yoga
girls
mats.
got these yoga mats and
5-pound weights.
these 5 pound weights and these bags that didn't even compare to the men. Yeah, man.
So you look at, and I guess I'll just speak from a sports perspective because it's the podcast. But so you look at the contributions of women to sports, and you look at the contributions of men to sports, and you can argue that like we're on par. There's female goats as there are male goats, right? And so I think that we need to show respect all the time when it's absolutely necessary, not just during March, and also consider what we contribute to society, right? Who gave you life? You know what I'm saying? Who cleans up? Who's the okay? I got it, right? Black women.
So you saying men don't clean up?
So I'm gonna say this: the presence of that compliment didn't mean there was an absence of a compliment about men. So I thought we were talking about women.
That's what people would say. That's what the men would say. I'm just being ill. That's what they would say.
Tell them wait till tomorrow.
That's what they would say. Like,
say it tomorrow.
What about us? What about us?
I'm about to say who said it? Trini or Doug?
Nah. They good. Leave my boys alone. We tuned in Friday for them. Leave my boys alone.
But appreciate us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's everything that you say is very true, and we do appreciate all the women out there. Appreciate my mama. Appreciate you. Appreciate my grandmother, my aunts, all that. And we do need to celebrate y'all. More.
Mm-hmm.
Not just in March, not just this year. But all the time. So this has been a treat, and that's why we got I got a few more. Even me in the podcast, getting some more female guests. I think I tried to do a pretty good job of that. I had a couple of round tables, a couple of female guests, but I got a couple more coming. So be on the lookout.
I'm always suggesting people,
Yeah. Be on the lookout for that. Man, got a lot of stuff I want to do. It's all up here now. Just gotta make it happen. But this has been awesome. This has been great. Great conversation. Finally got the Queen Anne's leader, in our presence here on the podcast, on a one-on-one format. You've been on here before with a couple of formats, being able to talk about ball and about basketball, which is something I know you still love. I think it hurt you with your Maryland Terps, your Lady Terps. Went out a little early, but they'll be back strong next year. So anything else you want to say to the people? Anything you got going on? Any knowledge you want to give? Any game you want to give? Anything for the people before we get up off here?
I just want to say thank you. This is good. Like, so you brought back a lot of memories. Mm-hmm. It made me remember a lot of things, which I think is such a great thing about your podcast. Because I think like people like me, I didn't think of a career beyond high school. Like I had no intentions of playing basketball beyond high school. So to have a chance to kind of sit back and like look back at those mm-hmm. 4 years is a lot of fun. Makes me a little angry. There's some of the things.
Something you did think like, why I don't remember that? Like, why you bring that up? Yeah.
So no, but it's been a lot of fun, and I just want to say, rest in peace to Mr. Hyde, Danielle, Emery, and Keith Cook. He was our family. Yeah. So all are a part of my basketball memories. And shout out to my teammates. Like, let me just say that being a part of a team was the best thing to kind of set me up for professional life, honestly. Like, I had to talk about it in work all the time. Like, I play a sport, right? I played a team sport. Like, we gonna work together.
Yeah, it makes a difference. Yeah. It makes a difference.
So, no, like, it definitely helped me. I had the best teammates and the best competitors that I still, like, I'm very, very friendly, very cordial with most of the people that I played against. So this is cool. Thank you. Appreciate you.
No problem. Appreciate you, homie. Appreciate everybody out there. Make sure you share the video. It'll be on YouTube in a couple of days. I'll be back to my regular day of Mondays next Monday, 7 p.m. Got POV coming through. Talk about all the dope stuff he's got going on, and we're gonna debate, get into some hot topics as well. So appreciate everybody. For myself, for the wife, we out of here. Peace.